Last week, I watched a man destroy his entire life with just 8 words. 8 poisonous words spat out in anger that cost him his 20-year marriage, his relationship with his children, his high-paying executive position, and his reputation. All because he couldn't control his mouth in a moment of rage. He's now living in a small apartment, drowning in legal fees, and wondering how different things would be if he had just kept his mouth shut for those 10 seconds. But here's what's truly terrifying. You're probably just one emotional outburst away from a similar disaster. You're sitting there right now thinking it couldn't happen to you, but the truth is, it's already happening. Those small moments of losing control, those brief lapses in judgment, those impulsive words, they're the silent killers of your potential. Life has a peculiar way of slapping us awake when we least expect it. That moment when your own voice betrays you, when your mood swings like a pendulum out of control, when your bank account screams for mercy and your mind becomes your worst enemy. You're sitting there right now, perhaps nodding along, because deep down, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We've all been there. Those moments when we've said things we can't take back, when our emotions have driven us to places we never meant to go, when our financial decisions have left us questioning our sanity, and when our thoughts have spun so far out of control that we barely recognize ourselves. But here's the truth that nobody wants to talk about. Your mouth, mood, money, and mind are not separate entities working against you. They're interconnected threads in the fabric of your existence, and you hold the power to weave them into something extraordinary. Let me share something that happened in a busy coffee shop last week. 2 people were standing in line. The first person reached the counter, found their order was wrong, and exploded in anger, berating the young barista, their voice rising with each word. Their face turned red, their hands shaking with rage over a simple mistake that could have been fixed in minutes. The second person faced the exact same situation, wrong order, busy day, running late. But they smiled, spoke softly, and worked with the barista to resolve the issue. Same situation, drastically different responses. Why? Because one person had learned to control their mouth while the other let their mouth control them. Think about it. How many relationships have you damaged because your mouth moved faster than your mind? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because you couldn't hold your tongue? Your words are not just sounds floating in the air. They are seeds you plant in the gardens of other people's minds. They grow into perceptions, beliefs, and ultimately, they shape the reality of how the world responds to you. When you master your mouth, you master your first key to transformation. But it's not just about the words we speak. It's about the emotions that fuel them. Your mood, that invisible force that colors every interaction, every decision, every moment of your day. How many times have you let a bad mood rob you of a beautiful moment? Often have you allowed temporary emotions to create permanent damage? I once witnessed a parent at a grocery store clearly exhausted and overwhelmed. Their child was having a meltdown in the cereal aisle. The parent's mood was dark, their patience thin. In that moment, they had a choice: let the mood dictate their actions or take control. They chose to take 3 deep breaths, knelt down to their child's level, and transformed what could have been a traumatic experience into a teaching moment. The mood didn't disappear, but they chose not to let it drive. Your mood is like weather in your internal world. You can't always prevent storms from forming, but you can learn to navigate through them. You can build emotional infrastructure strong enough to withstand the strongest gales of feeling. When you master your mood, you master your second key to transformation. Now let's talk about money. It's that topic that makes most people shift uncomfortably in their seats. Why? Because money isn't just about dollars and cents. It's about value, worth, security, and freedom. It's about the choices we make every day, often unconsciously, that either build our financial fortress or dig our monetary grave. Consider 2 individuals with the same salary. One lives paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed, always one emergency away from financial disaster. The other lives comfortably, saves consistently, and handles unexpected expenses with relative ease. The difference isn't in what they earn. It's in how they think about and handle money. Money flows where attention goes. When you master your money, you're not just managing numbers in a bank account. You're managing your future, your freedom, your ability to make choices based on want rather than need. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the kind of life you want to live. But here's where it gets interesting. Your mouth, mood, and money all stem from one source, your mind. Your mind is the control center, the headquarters where every decision, every reaction, every habit is born. And yet, for many of us, our mind feels like an unruly tenant in our own head, throwing wild parties of worry, hosting festivals of fear, and creating chaos when we most need calm. Every thought you have is like a drop of water. One drop might not seem significant, but thoughts, like water drops, accumulate. They can either form a stagnant pond of negativity or flow like a river of possibility. The choice is yours, but first, you must become aware of the power your thoughts hold. Most people don't realize that are not you. They're like clouds passing through the sky of your consciousness. You can observe them without becoming them. When you start to understand this, something magical happens. The quality of your life right now is a direct reflection of the quality of your thoughts. Look around you. Everything you see, your relationships, your bank account, your health, your achievements began as a thought became a word became an action became a habit, and habits created your reality. But let me be clear, this isn't about positive thinking alone. This is about conscious thinking, about becoming the gatekeeper of your own mind. It's about understanding that every time you open your mouth, you're expressing what's in your mind. Every mood you experience is a reflection of your thoughts. Every financial decision you make stems from your beliefs about money. So how do we begin this transformation? It starts with awareness. Right now, in this moment, become conscious of your thoughts. What's running through your mind? Are these thoughts serving you or sabotaging you? Are they moving you toward your dreams or keeping you trapped in fear? The most powerful moment in your life is when you realize that you don't have to believe everything you think. Your thoughts are suggestions, not commands. Your moods are visitors, not permanent residents. Your words are tools, not weapons. And your money is a reflection of your relationship with value, not your worth as a human being. Every morning when you wake up, you're given 86,400 seconds, a fresh bank account of time. No matter how you spent yesterday's moments, today offers you a new beginning. But here's the critical question that most people never stop to ask themselves. How many of those seconds are you spending fighting your own mind? You wake up, and before your feet even touch the floor, your mind is already racing. Bills to pay, meetings to attend, relationships to fix, dreams still unfulfilled. The mental chatter begins, and suddenly you're caught in a whirlwind of thoughts that drain your energy before you've even begun your day. Let's talk about something that happened in a busy restaurant. A server accidentally spilled water on a customer's expensive suit. In that split second, that customer had a choice that would define not just the next few minutes, but ripple through their entire day, affecting their mood, their interactions, and ultimately their success. The customer looked at their wet suit, then at the mortified server's face, and did something remarkable. They smiled and said, "Well, at least it wasn't hot coffee." That simple response changed everything. The tension dissolved. The server, instead of being paralyzed by shame, was able to act efficiently to help remedy the situation. Other diners who had been watching with held breath returned to their meals with slight smiles. Our initial reaction to any situation is a choice. It's not about what happens to us. It's about how we choose to respond. This is where the control of your mouth becomes crucial. Your words have the power to escalate or dissipate any situation. They can build bridges or burn them to the ground. Think about the last time you reacted without thinking. What did it cost you? A relationship, an opportunity, your peace of mind. Your words are like toothpaste. Once they're out, you can't put them back in the tube. But unlike toothpaste, words can leave stains that last a lifetime. Here's a truth that might be hard to swallow. Your mood is not something that happens to you. It's something you create. Every morning, you pick up your emotional paintbrush and start coloring your world. The colors you choose affect not just you, but everyone around you. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the tension? That's because moods are contagious. Your emotional state is not just your personal weather system. It's a climate that affects everyone in your vicinity. When you master your mood, you become a force of positive change in every room you enter. But mastering your mood isn't about suppressing emotions or plastering on a fake smile. It's about understanding the source of your emotions and choosing your response. It's about recognizing that feelings are like waves. They rise, they peak, and they fall. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf them. Now let's connect this to your financial life. Have you noticed how your mood affects your spending habits? How many times have you bought something you didn't need because you were feeling down? How often have you made poor financial decisions because you were riding an emotional high? Your relationship with money is deeply emotional. It's tied to your self-worth, your sense of security, your dreams, and your fears. But here's what they don't teach you in school. Financial success isn't just about understanding numbers. It's about understanding yourself. Every time you open your wallet, you're making a statement about what you value. Every purchase is a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. Your money patterns reveal your thought patterns. Are you spending to fill an emotional void? Are you saving out of fear or investing with wisdom? Are you using money as a tool for growth or as a bandage for pain? The connection between your mouth, mood, and money becomes clear when you start paying attention. Notice how your words about money affect your financial reality. When you say, "I can't afford it," you're programming your mind. When you say, "I'm bad with money," you're writing a script that your life will faithfully follow. But the real magic happens when you realize that all of these elements, your words, your emotions, your financial decisions, are simply expressions of your thoughts. Your mind is the master control panel, and every thought you entertain is pressing buttons that affect your entire life. Think of your mind as a garden. Every thought is a seed. What are you planting? Worry, fear, resentment? Or are you planting seeds of possibility, growth, and abundance? The garden of your mind will grow whatever you plant in it, without judgment, without question. For the next 24 hours, become a detective of your own thoughts. Notice how each thought affects your words, your mood, and your choices. Watch how a single negative thought can spiral into a bad mood, leading to harsh words and poor decisions. But also notice how a single positive thought can lift your spirits, inspire kind words, and lead to choices that serve your highest good. The transformation begins when you realize that you don't have to think every thought that comes into your mind. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean you have to give it an all-access pass to your life. You can choose which thoughts to nurture and which ones to let float away. This is where the real work begins. It's not enough to just understand these principles. You must put them into practice. Start with your words. Before you speak, ask yourself, is what I'm about to say true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it helpful? Make this your filter and watch how your relationships transform. Then move to your moods. When you feel an emotion rising, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, is mood serving me? Is it moving me toward my goals or away from them? Remember, you can feel an emotion without becoming it. You can acknowledge anger without acting from it. You can experience fear without being paralyzed by it. With your money, bring consciousness to every transaction. Before you spend, pause and ask, is this aligned with my values? Is this moving me toward financial freedom or keeping me in financial bondage? Every dollar is a vote for the kind of life you want to create. When you step back and observe your thoughts, patterns begin to emerge. You start to see how one negative thought about yourself can trigger a cascade of self-defeating behaviors. A simple thought like, "I'm not good enough," can lead to defensive words, which create tense relationships, which affect your mood, which impacts your work performance, which ultimately reflects in your bank account. You can break this cycle at any point. You can interrupt the pattern with a single conscious choice, one mindful breath, one carefully chosen word, one deliberate action. That's all it takes. to begin shifting the momentum. Let me share something profound that happens in hospitals every day. Two patients receive the same diagnosis. One immediately says, "This is it. I'm done for." Their mood plummets, their words become bitter, they withdraw from treatment, and their health deteriorates rapidly. The other patient says, "This is a challenge, and I'm ready to face it." Their determination affects their mood. Their words encourage their medical team. They actively participate in their treatment, and their chances of recovery significantly improve. Same diagnosis, different mindset, drastically different outcomes. This isn't just about positive thinking. It's about the very real, very powerful connection between your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and your reality. Your mouth is not just an organ for eating and speaking. It's a tool for creating your reality. The words you speak are like tiny architects, building the structure of your life one sentence at a time. When you complain, you're constructing walls around yourself. When you express gratitude, you're building bridges to new possibilities. Consider how often you use phrases like "I can't," "It's impossible," or "I'm not good enough." Each time you utter these words, you're laying bricks in a prison of your own making. But what if you started using phrases like "I'm learning," "I'm finding a way," or "I'm growing stronger"? These words become the building blocks of your liberation. Your mood is not just a feeling. It's a lens through which you view the world. When your mood is low, opportunities look like obstacles. When your mood is elevated, obstacles look like opportunities. Most people miss it. Your mood is not dependent on your circumstances. It's dependent on your interpretation of your circumstances. Think about two employees who both get passed over for a promotion. One falls into depression, their work suffers, they become bitter, and their career stagnates. The other uses the disappointment as fuel, asks for feedback, improves their skills, and eventually surpasses the position they initially wanted. The circumstance was identical. The interpretation made all the difference. Now let's talk about something that makes people squirm, their relationship with money. Have you noticed how some people seem to attract money while others repel it? It's not luck, and it's rarely about intelligence or education. It's about their money mindset, the complex web of beliefs, attitudes, and emotions. Money is neutral. It's neither good nor evil. It's simply a tool, a form of energy that flows towards certain attitudes and away from others. When you harbor resentment toward money, when you see it as the root of all evil, when you believe you don't deserve it, you're energetically pushing it away. Your thoughts about money become self-fulfilling prophecies. But what would happen if you changed your relationship with money? What if instead of seeing it as something to fear or resent, you saw it as a tool for creating positive change? What if every dollar that passed through your hands was viewed as an opportunity to make a conscious choice about the kind of world you want to create? This brings us back to the mind, the source of all these patterns. Your mind is like a supercomputer. But here's the catch. It's running on programming that you might not have consciously chosen. Much of your mental software was installed during childhood through experiences, observations, and things others told you about yourself and the world. The good news is that you can update this programming. You can install new thought patterns, new beliefs, new ways of interpreting the world. But first, you must become aware of the current programming that's running your life. Start paying attention to your self-talk. That constant commentary running through your head, is it supporting your growth or undermining your potential? Is it moving you toward your goals or keeping you stuck in old patterns? Remember, your mind believes what you tell it. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough, your mind accepts these statements as commands and creates a reality to match them. The transformation begins with awareness, but it doesn't end there. Awareness without action is just observation. Once you become aware of your patterns, you must make conscious choices to change them. This isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about catching yourself in old patterns and choosing new responses. When you feel the urge to speak harshly, pause, take a breath, choose words that heal rather than hurt. When you notice your mood spiraling downward, stop. Ask yourself what thoughts are driving this emotional state. Choose thoughts that elevate rather than deteriorate your energy. When you're about to make a financial decision, pause. Check in with your motivations. Are you spending from a place of lack or abundance? Are you making this choice from fear or from wisdom? Choose actions that align with your highest values and long-term goals. The key to mastering your mouth, mood, money, and mind lies in understanding their interconnectedness. A change in one area creates ripples that affect all the others. When you elevate your thoughts, your words naturally become more empowering. When your words become more empowering, your mood naturally lifts. When your mood lifts, you make better decisions, including financial ones. This isn't about achieving perfection. It's about creating awareness and making conscious choices. It's about catching yourself in old patterns and choosing new responses. It's about understanding that every moment offers a new opportunity to align your thoughts, words, emotions, and actions with your highest potential. Think of yourself as the conductor of a grand orchestra. Your thoughts, words, emotions, and actions are the different sections of your orchestra. When they play in harmony, they create a masterpiece. When they're out of sync, they create chaos. Your role is to ensure each section plays its part in creating the symphony of your life. Let me tell you about a profound truth that reveals itself in every successful transformation. Change doesn't happen in giant leaps. It happens in tiny, deliberate choices made moment by moment. Each time you catch yourself before speaking in anger, each time you shift a negative thought to a constructive one, each time you make a conscious financial decision instead of an emotional one, you're rewiring your brain for success. Every morning when you brush your teeth, you're not thinking about the long-term impact of dental hygiene. You're simply performing a habit that you know serves your well-being. What if you approach the control of your mouth, mood, money, and mind with the same consistent habitual care? In every interaction, you have a choice. When someone cuts you off in traffic, you have a split second to decide. Will you let their action hijack your mood for the next hour? Will you let words of rage spill from your mouth? Will that emotional reaction cause you to stop for comfort food, spending money you'd planned to save? Or will you choose differently? The power lies in that split second, that tiny gap between stimulus and response. That gap is where your freedom lies. That gap is where transformation becomes possible. The more you practice expanding that gap, the more power you have over your life. Consider your daily interactions with people. Each conversation is an opportunity to practice conscious communication. Before speaking, ask yourself, will these words create connection or separation? Will they build bridges or will they lift spirit or crush them? Your mouth can be a source of healing or hurt. The choice is yours in every moment. Your mood is like a barometer of your thought patterns. When you find yourself in a negative emotional state, treat it as a signal. Stop and ask, what thoughts are creating this feeling? Are these thoughts based on reality or interpretation? Are they serving my growth or holding me back? Remember, you can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose how you interpret and respond to it. Let's talk about something that happens in many households. The bills arrive and immediately the mood shifts. Tension fills the air. Words become sharp. Decisions become reactive rather than responsive. But what if you approached your financial life with the same mindfulness you're now developing with your words and emotions? Money flows in patterns. Just as water follows the path of least resistance, money flows along the channels created by your beliefs and habits. When you change your thoughts about money, you change its flow in your life. When you speak about money with respect rather than fear, when you approach it with wisdom rather than emotion, when you treat it as a tool rather than a master, everything begins to shift. For the next week, treat every dollar that passes through your hands as a vote for the kind of life you want to create. Before each purchase, each investment, each financial decision, pause and ask, what am I voting for with this money? Am I investing in my growth or feeding my fears? Am I building my future or buying temporary relief from present discomfort? But remember, all of these external changes in your words, your emotional responses, your financial decisions stem from one source, your mind. Your mind is like a garden that will grow whatever you plant in. But here's what most people don't realize, and you don't have to tend to every thought that takes root there. Just because a thought appears in your mind doesn't mean you have to water it, feed it, and help it grow. You can choose which thoughts to nurture and which ones to let wither. This is not about forcing positive thinking. It's about cultivating conscious thinking. When a negative thought appears, don't fight it. Fighting thoughts only makes them stronger. Instead, observe it, acknowledge it, then ask yourself, is this thought helping me grow? Is it moving me toward my goals or away from them? Is it based on truth or fear? You have the power to choose which thoughts you'll allow to take root in the garden of your mind. This is where real transformation begins. When you start to understand that your thoughts are not facts, they're interpretations, suggestions, possibilities, you gain the power to choose different interpretations. When you realize that your words are not just expressions of thoughts, but creators of reality, you begin to speak with greater consciousness. When you recognize that your moods are not dictates from the universe, but results of your thought patterns, you gain the ability to shift them. When you understand that your financial situation is not a fixed reality, but a reflection of your beliefs and choices, you begin to make decisions from a place of wisdom rather than habit. The integration of these four elements, mouth, mood, money, and mind, creates a powerful synergy. When your thoughts are clear, your words become precise. When your words are conscious, your emotions become balanced. When your emotions are stable, your financial decisions become wise. When your financial life is in order, your mind becomes peaceful. It's a virtuous cycle that builds upon itself. But this integration doesn't happen by accident. It requires practice, patience, and persistence. It demands that you become the observer of your own patterns. It asks you to develop the courage to catch yourself in old habits and choose new responses. It invites you to become the conscious creator of your life rather than a reactive victim of circumstances. Start with small moments. When you feel yourself about to react, pause, take a breath. In that pause, you'll find your power. When you notice your mood shifting, stop. Observe the thoughts creating that shift. When you're about to make a financial decision, wait. Check your emotional state. When you catch yourself in a negative thought pattern, pause. Question the validity of those thoughts. These small moments of consciousness, these tiny choices to respond rather than react, these deliberate decisions to align your thoughts, words, and actions with your highest good. These are the building blocks of transformation. Each conscious choice is like a deposit in the bank of your future self. Remember, you're not just changing habits, you're rewiring your brain. Every time you choose a conscious response over a reactive one, you're creating new neural pathways. Every time you shift a negative thought to a constructive one, you're building new mental muscle. Every time you make a mindful decision about money, you're establishing new financial patterns. The journey of mastering your mouth, mood, money, and mind is not a destination. It's a continuous evolution. Every day presents new opportunities to practice these principles, to strengthen these skills, to deepen your understanding of yourself and your potential. As you leave here today, remember that transformation doesn't require massive change all at once. It happens in those small moments of choice. When you pause before speaking, when you shift your mood consciously, when you make mindful financial decisions, when you choose which thoughts to nurture and which to release, your power lies in your awareness. Every time you catch yourself falling into old patterns, celebrate. That awareness is the first step to change. Every time you make a conscious choice instead of a reactive one, acknowledge your growth. Every time you align your words, emotions, and actions with your highest good, you're building momentum toward lasting transformation. The world will continue to present challenges. People will still cut you off in traffic. Bills will still arrive. Difficult situations will still emerge. But you now have the tools to respond rather than react, to choose rather than chase, to create rather than complain. Remember that your mouth is a tool for creation, not destruction. Your mood is a signal, not a sentence. Your money is a resource, not a master. And your mind is a garden that will grow whatever you choose to plant in it. You have everything you need right now to begin this transformation. Your awareness is your superpower. Your choices are your tools. Your commitment to growth is your fuel. The question is no longer whether you can change your life. You now know that you can. The question is, will you choose to use these tools every day? Will you commit to this practice of conscious living? Will you dedicate yourself to mastering these 4 elements that shape your reality? The power to transform your life has always been within you. Now you have the understanding to use it wisely. Let every word you speak, every emotion you feel, every dollar you spend, and every thought you think be in alignment with the person you choose to become. Go forth now, not as a victim of circumstances, but as the conscious creator of your reality. Your transformation begins anew with every breath, every word, every choice. Make them count. Your mouth, mood, money, and mind are not your masters. They are your instruments. Play them well, and they will create the symphony of your best life.